Okay, so the point of this Zoom is I was sitting and thinking about how we can be efficient. So by efficient, it's different than when I normally mean efficient. Usually when we talk about being efficient, we talk about using your time wisely. In this regard, I'm talking about getting the most volume out of the fewest distributors, if that makes sense. So starting in January, I know of two of you have not, no, Caroline's done a January. I don't think Sarah and Sally have. January blows up because that's when people are doing their New Year's resolutions. They're wanting to get healthier. They're wanting to make more money. They feel like they should change because it's a new year. And so you're going to see people open up their minds a lot more and want to jump in. So enrollments are through the roof. Basically from January and the past 2 years, it's varied, it's been kind of nuts. And anyway, so what I want is when we get new distributors in, the way things are now, it takes probably a month or two before we start seeing a lot of volume come in from those people. So my goal now with this is I want to make sure that we're duplicating an efficient way to train, a simple way to train, so that we can pass it down to our distributors, so that when you see people getting added to your downline, it means it's a week, it's 2 weeks before you start seeing hundreds of more volume come in. There's no reason. Some people just are going to be slow. That's going to happen no matter how spot on your training is, okay? But there's no reason that half or even 75% of the distributors that you sign shouldn't be getting 100 and 200 VV in their first 2-3 weeks. There's no reason that shouldn't be happening. And so I want to get this in your heads now so that come the new year, you've got it, you can tweak it to work with your coaching style, and we can be duplicating. And that's why I invited a lot of leaders on this too. The people that were invited to this were our high enrollers and our leaders. Most of the time that's one and the same, but because you're enrolling people, and I want to make sure the training's there, because when you can duplicate the training, that's when your team is going to explode. And so I'm going to go over what I've kind of trial and error kind of through the 2 years, and this is what I do now, and I think it's getting better. It's still not perfect, but this is what I have now, and it's simplified it. I went from having 30 different chunks and sending 30 giant texts once a day for the first 30 days. It's too much. It's just too much. It's too much. I did barely anything. I tried, I'll barely do anything and see what happens. And I just tried everything. So this is kind of what I landed on. Again, I'm sure it'll change in a couple months. Who knows? But this is what I found that helps. So you sign someone up. They're in the computer. You need to be talking to them via text. Unless they're international, then you need to do like WhatsApp or whatever is easiest. But get them off of social media to talk to them, because social media it feels like a weird barrier. I feel like when you have their cell number, you're getting them. It's so much more personal when you give someone your cell number and you're talking on the phone and you're texting and you're not doing things through Messenger, IG messages. And I also say that because it really helps to be able to send voice memos. It helps them hear your voice. Sometimes it's easier for them to process information. Regardless, you need to be communicating via cell phone number if you can. Number 2, I get them plugged in on the team page. I'll send them a quick note and say, okay, I'm going to put you on 2 pages. One is the Dream Team page and explain what that is. And then the next is a list of Skinny Rap Stars. Every person needs to be on those 2 pages. I usually start them out on those 2, and then I'll eventually add them to Ashley's, but 3 pages at one time is just really overwhelming. So I always do those 2 first and maybe wait about a week, unless they just take off. Then a couple days later, I'll tell them, hey, I'm going to add you to this other one. So I add them to those 2 pages. And then I say the third thing is I say we need to get a one-on-one set up. Like a one-on-one face-to-face, if they're local, face-to-face, like in the flesh, If they're not local, then Zoom, which is free up to 30 minutes. So it gets iffy. Some of mine are 20 minutes. Some of mine are an hour. It just depends on how much back and forth there is. Or you could do FaceTime. But regardless, you need to be able to see their face and they need to be able to see your face. That's non-negotiable. There's just something about it. Ever since I've been doing that, I feel like there's a stronger relationship between me and those distributors. So that's non-negotiable. And you need to do that within the first 2 to 3 days that they are in the business. You need to get them at the beginning, if not the day you sign them up. So this is, okay, the next points are what I go over on that one-on-one. And it's pretty much the same every time unless they have specific questions. The first, I tell them to log into their eSuite. I explain there's going to be a lot there. Please don't get overwhelmed. Feel free to click around. You're not going to break anything, but that's your back office. That's going to be your go-to. And then I show them where It Works You is. And why I love Zoom is because you can screen share and I can get on my eSuite and show them. But if you can't do Zoom, then just tell them, It Works You is in the top right. You're going to click that, and then your training videos are going to be under the steps to success and building your business drop downs. And tell them that that's very important to do. And they're just really quick, a bunch of 3-minute, 5-minute videos, so they go really quick. And then, so stress how important that is. And then I tell them, I say, okay, you saw that I added you on 2 Facebook pages. And if they have no idea what you're talking about, show them. Like on my one the other day, I got on the Facebook page and clicked around and I showed them, this is my page. This is Alyssa's page. These are the things you can do. And you show them and you teach them how to search, and you tell them that they can post on my Dream Team page because that's what it's there for. It's there for help. If there's a picture or testimony they need, they can post it on that page. That's, it's there for help. Really stress that is an excellent resource that they can go to time and time again for help. And they're very welcome on that page. And then when you're talking about Alyssa's page, stress how amazing her tips are. She always likes to drop really good 2 to 5 minute nuggets of wisdom regarding the business. And then talk about the contests and the types of prizes that she does, so that they have their minds open and their eyes open for those posts on those team pages. And then if they think that they're going to win iTunes gift cards or Michael Kors purses for just enrolling people, they're going to probably do that. So I always do that. I always tell them, the contests are not everything about the business, but I think they're fun. So you're probably going to want to pay attention to those. So I do that. And then, okay, the next thing after logging into eSuite, showing them where It Works You is, doing the team pages, the next thing is I go over their first goal, and their first goal is their first 4 loyal customers. I explain to them that every 2 customers for life, you get wrap rewards. We need to be talking about wrap rewards. I don't think we do it enough. A lot of people like to join this business because of the wraps, and knowing that they can get $25 boxes of wraps is going to be huge to them. So stress wrap rewards. Every 2 you get wrap rewards. So when you sign your first 4, you're going to get 2 wrap rewards, and that's $200 cash if you decide to sell that. I mean, that's cash, money in their pocket. So talk about that, and then talk about how when you get your first 4 customers, you unlock the ability to earn bonuses. You can earn the Ruby bonus. You can earn Fast Start bonuses. You can really earn Fast Start bonuses if you have 2, but I try to stress 4. And then you unlock it, you're eligible for the good bonuses if and when you promote to Diamond, because you have those 4. And then right then and there, I say, we need to make a list of about 20 people. This is eventually going to end up being your hundreds list, so there will be more people. But for right now, I want you to do 20 people that if you moved, they would want to know about it. If you got a new job, they would want to know about it. If you got a puppy, they'd want to know about it. If you were sick, they would bring you soup if they lived close by. Those kinds of people. Make a list of 20 of those people. And that's going to be and then once they do, I say, this is going to be the list that we're working off of for your first 4 customers. And then tell them that you are going to tag them. See, I don't tag them in anything right away. I want them to kind of not be overwhelmed all at the beginning. And then if they're ready to go, like that first day, say they're ready to go, I say, okay, well, before I do anything, I need to get a one-on-one with you. So if you want to do that tonight, let's do it tonight so that then we can get going. And if you have to stay up late, you stay up late and you get them going. But I stopped tagging them in so much stuff right away. And I think that's helped a lot. So once we talk about that, I tell them I'm going to tag you in a post that's going to have a little video with our ambassador upline, Ashley, and she goes over the first 4 customers, why they're important, and she also gives you verbiage to use, and she's really good at it. And I always say she just says it way more eloquently than I can. So instead of trying to repeat it and butcher it, I'm just gonna send you over there and tag. I mean, pull out your phone right then and there and tag them, and make sure they see the tag, so that they have the post and all that info. And you say, what she says is great, asking them to help you out, be a product tester for 90 days and give you an honest testimony. That's exactly what you need to be saying. And then I ask them, do you have any questions? I always pause and wait, do you have any questions? Did I lose you anywhere? And with these Zooms, I always go slow so that the information is really seeking in. I make sure they have at least 30 minutes to spare with me on the Zoom. So again, like I said, sometimes they go longer, but at least 30 minutes so that you can really take your time and let it sink in. Let them ask questions. Let them know that this is their time with you. You're not going anywhere. You're pouring yourself into them, and let them really see that you care about their success. And then the next thing I go over is commission qualified. So what I've started to do is when I enroll someone and they get to that part, because I don't really talk about that whenever I enroll someone, because I don't think it should be a deal breaker, since there are 2 ways to be commission qualified. So I don't talk about it. But when they get there, what I say is that's going to ensure that you get paid. There's a way to do it where you don't spend any money. However, I'll go over that with you on our one-on-one. Go ahead and leave it. You're not going to be charged anything. But when we chat and I explain it to you, because it's a little confusing online, then we can make a decision and we can go in and change it, take it off, whatever you want to do. But leave it for now. Okay? So that's what I say when they're enrolling. And then on our one-on-one, when we get to this part, I say, okay, do you remember when you got to that part and I had 2 boxes of wraps? And yeah, I remember. So that's when I explain to them, there's 2 ways to be commission qualified. I start with what we recommend, 2 boxes of wraps, ADBV, and I always say you can change it. And I always give the example that people tend to get, sorry, my mom just sent me a GIF. It's the one with Ariel doing this. That's her favorite. Anyway, I tell them we usually always get a box of wraps, and then when you're new, you usually switch out that second product, so you're always trying something new. And then I tell them the other way, if you're super tight with money, but I explain to them they can sell their wraps to pay to all of that, and so they're running your business for free. But then I say the other way is your 150 BV, blah, 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 blah. And then I make sure to mention the reason why we recommend the other one. We recommend the other one so that the control is in your hands to get your paycheck. I've heard horror stories. Someone on our team just the other month missed a paycheck with a comma in it because one of their customers returned something and they didn't have their auto ship set up. And, I tell them those true stories, and it's happened. I think it happened to a presidential one time, and you have to run your auto ship. And then I tell them, we also want you trying the products. It's so much easier to try these products when you're falling in love with them. And the only way to fall in love with them is just try them. And you don't have to try them all at once, but you've got to try at least one new thing a month. And this is a way to do that while running your business. And I kid you not, since I've started doing it this way, not one person has turned off their auto ship. Not one. So I will not change this way of doing things. And I even say, a lot of them will say, well, what do you suggest that I try? And then I say, well, I always suggest greens are number one. Everyone needs to get on greens as quickly as possible. And then after that, it's up to you. Have my post about the cleanse made you excited, or hair, skin, and nails? What have you been wanting to try? And then they'll usually be like, oh yeah, I wanted to try this and this and this. And so they'll have their list for months of products they want to try. So they're not going to turn it off anytime soon. But that's been awesome once I started doing that. Then I explain Ruby using a chart. and I go slow and make sure they understand it. You guys all know how to explain Ruby, so I'm not going to get into that. But then I say, this is Ruby. This is where you're going to get $500 a month average. I explain the Ruby bonus, and then I say, however, for this month, I want you to focus on your first 4 customers, and I want you to focus on executive. And then I pull out executive. And I say, this is executive, because it breaks down their goals. Ruby is exciting, and it's fun, and it's what people should be shooting for. But you guys, remember when you first got started, and you're like, wait, I need 5 people. I don't even know where to find my first 4 customers. Like, that's a lot. So if you break it down to executive, game changer. They can do that. And if they don't do it in their first month, it's fine. Okay, we're gonna keep working on executive. And then I also stress when I'm talking about Ruby that the bonus is simply a bonus. It does not mean that you can't do this business if you don't get it. If it wasn't a bonus, then they wouldn't be offering it, because everyone could get it and they'd go bankrupt, you know? So, because they pay out more Ruby bonuses than good bonuses combined. Like, it's stupid, like money-wise, it's dumb. And, but I tell them, you know, we've got girls on the team that got their Ruby bonus, and then we've got leaders on the team that didn't get a Ruby bonus. Like, it's all across the board. It has nothing to do with whether or not you can do this business, because quite frankly, everybody can do this. So it's just a timeline, and everyone's timeline is different. And I make sure to stress that, because I don't want them getting discouraged if they don't get the bonus. Okay. And then the last thing I do on the Zoom is I set expectations. And by that, I mean, I say, I want to be realistic, and I want to go ahead and tell you, you're going to get told no. You're going to get ignored. It's just a fact of life. It happens in every aspect of life, so it's going to happen in this business too. A lot of people aren't going to understand what you're doing right away because it's different. Please don't let that discourage you, because it happens to me still every day. I get told no every day. I get ignored every day. But we celebrate those no's and really stress that. We're going to celebrate every single no you get. When you get a no, you tell me, because we're going to celebrate that, because that means you are so much closer to getting a yes. And I haven't really seen this one pan out yet, because the ones I've been using it on haven't really gotten going yet, but I will let you know how this one works. But I think it can't hurt anything to set their expectations. So I think it's going to be good. Okay, and then this is off the Zoom. That's the one-on-one. Then I ask any questions, and it goes from there. You either get off or you keep talking. Okay, so after the Zoom, I always leave them and say, okay, your first goal that you're going to do is you're going to reach out to your warm network to try to get your first 4 customers. And then while you're waiting on messages to come back in, you're going to sit and do your It Works training. That's what I want you to do right away. And then I get off. And then about 24 hours later, not the next morning, because usually we do these meetings at night. So usually that next night, I will reach back out to them and say, hey, I just wanted to check in, see how your messages are going. What kind of responses are you getting? And so then I kind of, I haven't sent any out yet, or I'm getting ignored, or whatever. And so then that kind of directs my training. Oh yeah, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Do you suggest that they do the first post on social media on the?
Yeah, I guess
when you talk about reaching out to the warm market.
Oh, I have that in here. So I have that, like, my very next point.
I'm sorry.
So I talk about that the next day, because again, I don't want to overwhelm them with to-dos. I was like, I know I wrote that down somewhere. And so I see what they're doing. It kind of directs my conversation. You know, if they haven't reached out to anyone yet, I say, would it be helpful if I sent over an example message for you to use that I've used that works? And or would it be helpful if I helped you respond to some of these messages? Because I know I needed help doing that when I got started, something like that. And then I talk about the importance of posting. and how it's our open sign. And a lot of people are probably not going to see not everyone's going to see everything they post, and that consistency is important. And when you think no one's watching, people are. And right when you think you've posted too much and no one's watching, that's when people are starting to watch. And, I go over all of that. And I say, now my posts get likes and everything and some comments. But when I was, first year and a half, I had nothing. I only had distributors liking my posts. But people who are not the people who reach out to you or who are ready to join when you reach out to them, they're the ones that have been watching you but haven't liked it or anything. So I talk about that. And then, and then I asked, would it be helpful if I were to send you some examples of posts to help get you started? And when I do that, I send them screenshots of posts. And I say, don't post a screenshot. Take what the screenshot says. Put it in your own words. Sound like you. And then I'll send them 3 picture options, and I'll say, post one of these pictures with it, so that they're choosing and they're learning how to match a post with whatever picture. Like, none of them are wrong answers. It's just whatever they want. I went through these notes with Alyssa the other day, and she noted on this one, which I loved, is when she talks about someone's first post, instead of sending a screenshot, she'll send a voice memo. She'll be like reading a post and voice memo it to them, so that they can't copy and paste. They have to kind of write down what she said, but they end up doing it in their own words because they're not going to remember every single word that she said. And I thought that was brilliant. I haven't tried that one yet, but she does that, so pretty smart. And then the next point. Just make sure that you're keeping everything super simple. Voice memos are great because I feel like you can't get too complicated in a voice memo. And if you do, it's easier to explain yourself. And it forms more of a bond between you and your distributor. FaceTimes and Zooms are invaluable. I try to get on FaceTime or Zoom with my newbies of course, the first one, and then maybe a week and a half later, I try to get on it with them a lot, because then they feel more comfortable reaching back out to me when they need help, if they know that I am truly invested in them. And I know it's hard because, you want to work your own business, but taking 30 minutes to an hour out of your night every other week, or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks for a new distributor is going to make a huge difference, especially if they're willing to sit down and talk with you. And even if it's them being frustrated and just needing to talk that out, that's going to be more helpful face-to-face, because they'll be able to see your face and see that you've been there and you totally get it. And it's been so helpful for me to be able to do that. And then stop tagging so much across the board. What I've started to do is you'll see me tag. I still tag. I still utilize it when a post is just so good, or I don't have time to do this. But if they are asking me something specific and it's something that is in a post about the business, I will look at it and copy and paste it over. And I'll say, I found this on the team page. This is where I got this, but here you go. And then eventually, if they don't kind of catch on that, I can find that on the team page, you'll say, have you checked the team page? Kind of direct them that way. And eventually, once you're talking to them and they're asking you questions, say, okay, well, what do you think you should do? And you start eventually getting them to answer their own questions. I mean, I remember when I went double and I was trying to grow as a leader, and I was still asking Alyssa so many questions. She would say, Lindsay, if you had someone come up to you on your team, ask you that question, what would you tell them? What would you say? And now that's whenever I'm frustrated or something's not working or I have a leadership question or something like that, I first think, okay, if one of my leaders came up to me and asked me this question or had this frustration, what would I tell them? And it's things like, no one said yes. I'm getting so frustrated. I don't know what to do. I don't know what else I can do. I'm reaching out to so many people every day. I'm so frustrated. And I think, okay, if someone came up to me and said that, what would I tell them? And I would tell them, just keep going. It's going to pay off. Keep doing it. Keep pushing through. And so I do. And I don't have to go to her every single time. There are some times I'm frustrated and I do need help that I'll still go to her, because again, I ask her questions all the time, but it forces me to at least develop more and think more as a leader. And when you do that to your distributor, you're turning them into a future leader. And that's how you create layered leadership. They don't know that yet. They're a distributor, they're an executive, but that's where they're going. So, and then the last thing I have is to really celebrate the little wins. Celebrate their first loyal, celebrate their second, celebrate their fifth, celebrate we celebrate our own. So truly get excited when they get their first 2 customers. Shout them out on your public Facebook and say, so-and-so is now eligible to win those $100 bonuses. And then once they get their 4, talk about how she's unlocked the compensation plan and now she can earn all these bonuses and she hit her first goal. And when she gets the first person who says, yes, I want to hear more, and she's freaking out because she has no idea what to say, first celebrate with her and then talk her through. Everything is exciting. And so I know it's like, okay, that's great for you, but I have to send this message that I have. Put that on pause for a little bit with your real newbie. I'm not talking about all of your distributors, but with your newbies, and really take the time and celebrate with them. Like, that is all that matters in your own business right now. It's the fact that she just signed her first loyal. So yeah, that's the end of my notes. Does anyone have anything else they do that has proven successful, or any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you mention any of like the contests and things like that when someone is thinking about joining, like before they join? Okay. I didn't know if that was like an added incentive for them too.
No. I talk about it if they ask about like resources or support. And I say, I've got a team page that's full of tips and resources, and my upline has a team page that you'd be a part of. She drops really, really good resources. And from time to time, she runs little contests that are really fun, that, you can win prizes for doing what you would be doing anyway. And then that's as far as I go. And that's very rare. That's only if they ask about resources, so it comes up.
One thing I think that we usually talk about, but just as a reminder so you can write it down, kind of along the lines of celebrating everything. Also, make sure that they can borrow your enthusiasm and borrow your belief in them, because I think when people get into this, it's really scary. They have no idea what they've just gotten themselves into, and yes, it's important to tell them they're going to get no's. They need to know that, but don't oversell that aspect of it, and make sure they know that you believe they're going to get the yes. Like, they have to believe that you believe in them. And I think that's what helps me with some of my girls who they have the fight and they have the drive, but they're just not producing. And you just have to keep putting it in there that you believe in them, because that they probably don't a lot of times. I mean, I still don't sometimes. I still, don't think, some days I'm like, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. I'm not good. But it's important that somebody else believes in me. So that's something I try to instill in my new people.
That's good.
Just signed a loyal, by the way.
That's so awesome. Wait, is that number 2 or is that the one? Is that the one from before the Zoom?
Just signed another one.
Yeah.
It's been a good it works day.
So I know this is about training your distributors. Can we talk just really briefly about you tell them all the stuff, you give them all the resources, they're added to the pages and blah, 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 blah. But you can't make them look at it. You can't give them that, you know what I mean? Because the one that I personally signed, I was like, here's this, here's this, here's this. And, he was excited for a week and then it just fizzled out. And I know that some of those people, you just have to let them go. I've tried to get the excitement back in, telling them about some of the events that are like close to us, you know, like One Teams, One Missions and things like that. And like I told him a month ago about this one that's going on in St. Louis, and he's like, oh yeah, it sounds really fun, blah, blah, blah. And I haven't heard anything from him. So how long do you give them?
Quick question.
You know, like,
how long did it take him to join from the first time you talked to him to when you joined?
not long. He was like pretty excited. His wife really was interested, but he was more the salesperson of the family. And so he was all on board. The way that I approached him with it was like the whole money side of it. Like, this is because he was obviously a red. And so I was like, this is how you make money. Because he flat out asked me, how do you make money with this? And so that's what I geared it towards. And I was like, so do you want to sign up now? You know, I met him face to face at like one of the restaurants in town over coffee. And I was like, and I showed him a bunch of stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of told him about, you know, how the business works and everything. And he was pretty, and I'm like, do you want to sign up now? And he was really excited and he signed up. He just couldn't get off the ground.
Okay. So real quick about that. I've had a lot of people just sign up really quick. Like, they're so excited about it. And I have one that did that. Like, I friended her randomly, and it's Shelby, my girl Shelby, who just like took off and was signing 9 loyals on her first 3 weeks. And I added her randomly on Facebook one day. The next day she messaged me about the business, and the next day she joined. She is the only person who has signed up that quickly who's done a dang thing. Honestly, everybody else fizzles. And it's because they're those people that go super excited and then not interested at all in every aspect of life. And so while it's so exciting, and I don't want to say every person you talk to is going to do this, because like I said, Shelby took off, but the majority thing is when you sign someone like that and they fizzle, like, don't go in thinking this is going to happen. But if they fizzle like that, just know that that means that they're probably going to be a fast start for you, and that's it. Now, don't give up on them, but at the same time, know that, okay, this might not be it for him. If it gets to the point where, have you just forgotten to check in and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been a month since I've talked to him? Has that happened to you yet?
No, because I let them know about any of like the deals going on, because his wife is a loyal customer who's turned off their ownership of mine. And then of course he's the DT under me. So I'm like, you guys know that you can take advantage of these BOGO deals and things like that. And we've had so many recently, and then I had thrown out the idea of going down to the St. Louis One Team, One Mission. But it has been a while, because I don't want to feel like I'm pressuring, but it shouldn't be a month, but I don't want it to be like I'm contacting them every week because there's this, there's that, there's whatever.
I say that because this question came up when Chelsea and I were in Lubbock at Ashley's house with a bunch of other leaders, because we still struggle with this. I mean, it's not anything you ever know exactly what to do, but because we talked about this, and I feel so bad. And I even mentioned, like, I feel so bad when I have a distributor and I look up and I realize I haven't talked to them in 2 months, because I've got all this, my business that I'm running. I've got distributors who actually want my help, that the last thing I'm thinking about is distributors that I've enrolled who don't give a crap, to be honest. And Ashley was like, I was sitting by Alyssa, and Ashley said, Alyssa, how many times did you have to check in with Lindsay to make sure she was working? And, of course she said none. And that's kind of the point is, yeah, you don't want to forget about them. You want to check in every once in a while, but don't beat yourself up for not remembering or anything like that. There are people that I used to do that, and now I haven't talked to them in 6 or 7 months because they won't answer me. And I don't need that. I don't need to be feeling like I'm a terrible leader, or that no one wants this business because this distributor that I signed won't answer. I don't need that. I need to focus on people who want my help, new blood and things like that. So don't beat yourself up about it. Chelsea, do you remember anything else that she said regarding that?
Yeah, one of the things that she said that really hit me, and I think it was within the same conversation. I think it was at her table, right? It wasn't like in a training thing when we had this conversation.
No, this one, my part was in the training room.
Okay.
In the theater.
Well, one of the things I've hung on to that she said is that her job is not to be a life coach.
Oh yeah.
Your job is to be a mentor for this company, for this job. And when people fall off like that, it's not about the company. It's not about the job. There's something else. And it's not your job to psychoanalyze or talk them through that, or you can't do that for them. And a lot of times we put it on ourselves to want to do that because we have so much belief in these people. We pursued them for a reason. And it's very rare that you ever sign somebody who you're like, they're going to suck. You really don't think that about people. So it's disappointing when it doesn't happen. And so I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to help them work through whatever personal issue they have with working this company, this business. But you have to give yourself that pass because it's going to hold you back, and they aren't worth jeopardizing your goals. You have big goals, and that's awesome. And there's no doubt you're going to reach the goals. It's a matter of when you're going to reach the goals. So if you spend your mental energy and it will tear you down. The spending negative mental energy has the adverse effect. So don't let that do that and push you further from your goal. You have to give yourself the pass to say, I did my job as a mentor. You have to trust that you did. We know that you did, Sally. Don't doubt that. Okay. Don't doubt that part of it.
Because I think that's what I'm nervous about, somebody else coming in and did I approach something the wrong way?
Well, and to be fair, we all still go through that. It's a struggle that most leaders have. And even now, if I sign 3 people who go dead within the first month in a row, I'm scared about my next person. I'm like, can I even sign a worker? Can I even train them? Do I know what I'm doing? And I know I have this conversation all the time with Alyssa and Chelsea, because I went through that during the summer. I signed dud, and it's hard. And I feel you, especially because I think it's your first person, and it's hard. It's very difficult, but you do have to realize and keep in mind, it's not about me. That whatever happened here is not me. So you could have done everything perfect. You could have been the best mentor that It Works has, and it still would have ended up that way. It's like Ashley's an example with her trainer. She was real gung-ho with her trainer for 4 months, and then leading up to conference, and then conference happened, and she was doing her business. She did not care. She said, my trainer could have offered to come for free and train me for free and give me recipes and give me everything I needed to be in the best shape of my life. And I still would have said, no, thank you. Because that's not what I cared about right then. I cared about my business. And it's the same way. If someone doesn't care about the business, you can give them posts, you can give them messages, you could hold their hand, and it doesn't matter because that's not what they care about right now. And some people simply join before it's their time. So the key is to be there and be ready for them when it is their time, 3 months later, 4 months later, 11 months later. You never know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Anything I missed? Any other questions of anything going on? This time, I'm just going to tell you, is when you want to be planting the craziest amount of seeds that you can. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that now, because January is absolutely crazy. And you're going to wish you had so many people to follow up with come January. So really focus on that, but follow up now with the people that you need to follow up with. And what I've been doing is saying, I know you've been interested in a long time. I wanted to tell you, January's nuts. January, February, our business explodes. And what would be great is if we could get you in now, we can get you learning everything so that come January, you don't have to learn. You're already in it and you're ready to go and take advantage of that boom. And so that's kind of helped me get really close to sealing the deal on a bunch of people. So I've been using that. Anything else?